Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of January. I hope you are well and you enjoyed your Christmas break. Or other kind of break if you're not in a Christianized country. So, you know very well what the deal is with these now, so I'm not going to go over how these readings are different from the main monthly ones. Let's just get straight into it. Can I have 3 cards, please, for Taurus's current energy? Ooh, that was quick. So we have King of Swords, Aquarius energy is the first one. We have the Wheel of Fortune here, Sagittarius energy, and then the Four of Swords. And I actually like this, Taurus, because although there are no pentacles on the table, there's something very measured about what's going on here, and that fits very well with Taurian energy. I notice we have the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck here with the Hanged Man, which is Pisces energy. Now, the Seven of Swords is often given to be, you know, that card of deceit or treachery or whatever, but it is also a card of risk-taking. And it seems to me like there's something going on here with you, an adjustment of thinking, because we do have that Hanged Man right behind it there. And behind that, we also have the Queen of Wands. There's somewhat of, the word I just heard was individuation going on here, because what's sitting behind the Queen of Cups is the Three of Cups in reverse. This suggests that you are, at the moment, contemplating the pros and cons of taking a risk on something. There's a lot of mental energy going on here and not much action, but that's okay because it isn't time to take the action yet. Whatever it is that you're considering, in a previous version of you, it would have felt like too much of a risk, too much out of your comfort zone to have engaged with. But there's some true mental engagement going on with it here, and I feel like you are getting ready to make a move. Now, it could be that there are people around you who are somewhat disapproving of the choices that you have made for yourself with that Three of Cups in reverse there. It could be that they have withdrawn their support in some way. But if that isn't the case for you, I feel like it's more that you're not actually paying that much attention to what other people are thinking about the choices that you are contemplating making for yourself at this moment. And I like this for you, Taurus, because you don't like to step unless you know where you're going, and you get to know where you're going by giving it lots of forethought, you know, thinking, planning, strategizing. There's something getting ready to be built here, I feel. And although there's no movement going on with it at the moment, with that Wheel of Fortune there, that's a big major arcana card to have. Just sat straight in the middle of the King of Swords and the Four of Swords there. Whilst everything may feel slightly amorphous at this point, that Wheel of Fortune is kind of indistinct. And she's given it to, you know, she's contemplating it as it's standing there in front of her. I feel like you're looking at making quite a big change for yourself. I'm going to pull an extra card because I am kind of nosy, actually. I'm interested to see what this is. The King of Swords talks about making a decision, right? And then there is a big decision here for you to make, and you are not going to make that move until you are absolutely certain of what it is that you are stepping into. The Four of Swords indicates, again, you know, that kind of pulling back, taking a break from actually making any movement at all. But contemplation and rest, sometimes healing as well. This Wheel of Fortune is massive. Tell me about this Wheel of Fortune, please. Got the Page of Swords. It's come up in the reverse, which is interesting. And we have the Four of Wands. We have the Star at the bottom of the deck here. Now, it's a card of Aquarius again. And, you know, we are moving into Aquarius season, actually, during, you know, the period that this reading is for. It'll be like the 21st or 22nd of January, something like that. But it speaks about hope, and it speaks about vision for the future. Interestingly, I've just noticed here, like the Three of Cups is behind that there. I feel you are moving on intuition at this point, and that might be something that is possibly causing you to pause, right? To not actually take the action yet. There's an intuitive bump, and there is support for you out there, although I don't feel like it's necessarily showing itself too hard at the moment, but it is there should you look for it. And this is what you've got in store. Now, notice that she is completely naked, right? There's a vulnerability there. There isn't this thick-hide stubbornness about what you're doing. It is lighter than that. There's more contemplation for that than that. You know, I do feel like it's something that is going to really push you out of your comfort zone. And like I said, I think that it's something that just perhaps even this time last year, you might have considered it too much of a risk and you would not have done it. But I think it's not only is it a hell of a reflection of the level of the work that you have done on yourself at this point, Taurus. But I love the combination of the High Priestess and the Star here together. That intuitive knowing, that bump, that push, knowing almost, actually, in a way that you can't quite fathom, that there isn't anything to be worried about what it is that you're planning for yourself moving forwards. And there's something very healing about what you're planning to do too. To the degree that you feel you will be able to give more in the long run if you take this step for yourself, whatever it is. And even if it feels like it might be a bit of a risk and you don't necessarily have the support of people around you, not overtly at this time anyway. But let's come back to this Page of Swords, because he came up in the reverse, and you know we could see that in a relatively negative way. But what I like about this is, so here's just a bit of random psychology for you, right? You walk into a room full of people who are all talking, right? You can tell who is enjoying the conversation, who is engaged with the conversation, with the direction that their feet are pointing, right? It's just absolutely fascinating. If somebody is stuck talking to somebody that they don't want to, their feet are going to be showing that, and they're going to be pointing in a different direction, right? Somebody who is firmly engaged will either be mirroring the posture and the feet position of the person who is in front of them, or at least very much facing them. And in the Page of Swords, right, we've got somebody whose body is turned to what is effectively the future, if you read left to right like I do, in terms of past and present and future. The body's turned that way. The mind, as indicated by the sword, is that way too, but there's something that's pulling them backwards. Right? They're looking back at the past here. Now, the fact that it's come up in the reverse for you suggests to me that you are not looking at the past. Now, we could say that it is likely that you have shed somewhat some of the shackles from the past, and they're not holding you back in the same way. But I feel there's an alignment coming in for you here. I mean, the Four of Swords is a nice card of alignment, right? The Four Swords, 2 and 2. We've got the alignment here on the Four of Wands as well. Now, this is a foundational card. Like, this is you not looking backwards, but instead looking forwards. Because the intuition is what's driving you in a different direction. And it's almost like the reversal, so your body is still kind of pointing at the past, is the way in which you get to extricate yourself from the situation that you are in order that you might go forwards to this situation that you are wishing to build for yourself moving forwards. I like this very much. So, as I do with these, we are looking for the lesson. Although, you know, I use looking for the lesson because it's alliterative and it just sounds nice and it sticks in the memory well. But I guess what we're doing really is looking for perspective. That's a better way of looking at these readings. So let's see what these 3 cards have to say. What do they have here? Yeah, there are big changes ahead for you. Very big changes. We've got the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, and I like that because the 7 of Pentacles is an acknowledgement, when it's in the upright here, that there is something in your environment that is not functioning to, you know, your highest benefit. Let's put it like that, right? Everything's kind of okay, but maybe it's a bit mediocre, or maybe there's something a bit more that you want. Sometimes with this card, particularly in this deck over the Rider-Waite, what we can see is like the situation is okay, and is it really right for you to be questioning whether there is more out there for you? Because there isn't actually anything really wrong, it's just not feeling like it's really right. Now, the fact that it's come up in the reverse, I like for you because it's still there, which means that there is an acknowledgement there are things that are not quite right, or, you know, not great, whatever it is. But this is a moment of stasis for me. This is kind of like, well, I don't really know what the things are. I don't know what I'm doing. What can I change? I don't know if I can change anything. You know, those kind of feelings. That's still there. But coming up as a reversal, it says to me that you are starting to make your decision. And that's important. Because it is your decision. Now we've got the Libra card here of the Queen of Swords forming this partnership, right, between this alignment. In fact, we were getting more and more alignment because you are the King of Swords. That's what's going on in here. The Queen of Swords is what is developing within you, and it is the ability to be able to to not only navigate the mazes that are, you know, behind the royal pair here in the cards, you know, whatever life has for you moving forwards. I don't know if the camera's picking that up terribly well, but there are a couple of mazes in the background. But the Queen is all about the, you know, taking in information as it comes in, not prejudging anything, because ultimately that is the dominion of the King of Swords, right? But being able to take it all in and see it for what it is, right? There's a no bullshit kind of energy about the Queen of Swords. But what I like here is that there's also a kind of gentle, she looks to me like she's praying, right? You know, there's some sort of act of faith that is about to go on here. It is supported by, you know, all of the mental energy that has gone into whatever it is that you are about to change for yourself. But it's all coming from you, Taurus, and this is what I like about this, right? There's no influence from anybody else here. There is, in fact, a feeling of you kind of stepping away from your herd, stepping away from what is established, ready to move forwards. All coming from you. And we have the World card next. Now, I love this World card. The World card's given to be, you know, completion. It's an ending. It's the final card in the Major Arcana. And what it's doing here is saying, congratulations, you are about to graduate from the circumstances that you have been in, because you see something here. You know, what I like about this is it's got the Ouroboros on it. So there's that. Not only is the snake eating its tail, but it's also in the shape of the lemniscate, right? Symbol for infinity. But what I like about that is the fact that an ending is never really an ending. It is also a beginning, and we've got that inherently depicted here within the card. You know, everything's a cycle, and, you know, things very rarely just end. You know, even when things appear to just end, there is still that period of adjustment between letting go of the old and embracing the new. And in fact, you know, depending on how far away from it you are, those two things can seem like very much the same process. Now, I'm drawn to the eye that is looking through here, because it feels to me like you are really seeing things for how they actually are. You know, these two cards together here. There's been a shift in your view of reality that's happened of late. And I think you're ready for more, Taurus. Now, the final card that you've got here in the looking for the lesson is the Three of Pentacles, and that's the first Pentacle card that has shown up here in this reading for you. Oh, actually, apart from the Seven of Pentacles, right? But main card down here on the table. And that is a card of working together with other people, right? Building something together with other people. Notice that there are two sets of hands there on that on that rope. But it's also another card of building a foundation. Whatever it is that you want to do, Taurus, I don't feel like you can do it on your own exactly. But the desire to do whatever it is must come from you and you alone, so that you can properly engage with those people who also want the same thing as you. It's getting you ready for movement. And the funny thing is, this Three of Pentacles here, what I don't feel is struggle, but I do feel like there's a period of hard work coming up for you. Now, I'd be interested to know if there was something astrologically that was supporting that. I know there's all sorts of things going on in January, and I started looking into all of it, and yeah, I mean, we've got the King of Cups and the Empress coming out there together, right? That's Taurian energy for me. That's Scorpio. And interestingly, that's your opposite number on the zodiac, right? There's a Taurus-Scorpio axis here. I'm sure there's something happening between you astrologically, but I can't remember what it is. Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. There's the Virgo energy to support it. With the Ten of Pentacles beyond that and the King of Pentacles, right? Something is being left behind here now for you, but it is by your own will. The fact that we've got the Knight of Pentacles with the King of Cups here and the Empress, right? There is something new that you are trying to bring in. There's some sort of change that you are trying to make, and there is hard work ahead of you. It is not a sure thing. I mean, presumably this is why part of it sounds like it's going to be a risk to you, you know, and why you might not have considered it at some point in the you know, in your recent past. But your emotional maturity seems to have really vaulted a level or two of late, and now you are prepared to start pushing your boundaries a little bit and going, well, I feel very safe here, I feel very comfortable here, but that's not how I grow. And the Empress is all about growth, you know, where the Hierophant is often about, you know, restriction and doing things the same way that they've always been done, you know, tradition, simply because they've always been done that way. And that's like, that's a death knell for business and things like that. You know, there's expansion here with other people too. You know, maybe it is even a Scorpio that you've got on board to do these things with you. But whatever it is very well supported, because the overwhelming feeling that I've got here is that you have outgrown where you are now. And whether that's, the card that I've just dropped there is the Ace of Cups. As if to really validate that message. You've outgrown where you are. It's time to move on. Now, whether this is with regard to, you know, your work, your even your house, you know, that's quite interesting. Those two together, the Empress and the Ace of Cups, can often indicate pregnancy. So if you are not looking to expand your family, maybe you know, take all relevant precautions. There's expansion. But in order to expand, there has to be the space for this thing to expand into. And that means that some things have to be left behind. And that's okay, because whatever is being left behind, you've grown out of now, right? There's no more growth. There's no expansion. There's nothing for you there in that thing that you are contemplating leaving behind. It's time to open yourself up to new possibilities, new ways of doing things. Because I think your emotions are there. Right, they're there already, and that we saw the High Priestess. She's very much lending a hand here with this. Like, yes, emotionally, intuitively, I know that I need to make this step here. It feels like mentally you are starting to catch up with that place now. It's almost like you're allowing yourself the space to contemplate doing things differently, or going in a different direction to that which you had anticipated, and you're gently taking your time in getting accustomed to that as a process that is okay for you. What I would like to see here when you are ready are the wands, because with the exception of the Four of Wands, we don't have any other wands cards here. We don't actually have the action yet. When you're ready, they will appear. But it feels like there are big steps that you're getting ready to take. And it does feel like they are very supportive, perhaps not by the people that you might be leaving behind you. Perhaps the Three of Cups that was in the upright at the bottom of the Rider-Waite deck there was, an indication of more universal forces when read together with the Wheel of Fortune, that are opening themselves up to you. I mean, it's possible that you've been offered some sort of opportunity, and although your first instinct may have been to just dismiss it out of hand, rather than doing that, you've may have a bit of time to think about it, and you've let it do that. And now the seed has been growing inside of your mind, and you're like, actually, my emotions are ready for this. It's just dealing with everything else now that's the issue. So let's get some cards of advice. Here's some cards for Taurus, please. Oh, we have the Hierophant, but it's the wise one in this deck here. We've got the Nine of Cups, and we've got the Hermit. Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, again, King of Wands is in the reverse at the bottom of the deck here. It is not time to take any action just yet, Taurus, right? You're doing the right thing in sitting and really contemplating, because what you want to be is in a complete alignment with all bits of yourself before you make this move. If you hop before you are ready, things are going to start going awry, right? It's a time to mentally prepare yourself for what is coming next. Well, we've got these two Earth cards here, Taurus and Virgo, respectively, suggesting that it is a good idea maybe to keep this, well, not so much under wraps exactly, but only seek out the counsel of people that you really trust at this time, because you run the risk of being overwhelmed by everybody else's opinions if you started talking frankly about this with lots of people. At this point, keep it close to you, not because somebody's going to sabotage it or anything. It's not like that. It's like you are on a process here. You're on a path of working all this out for yourself without the input of other people, which means that the next move that you make is going to be genuine and is going to be authentically you, and you want to keep it that way, right? Until such point as everything is there within you and you have made the decision, and that Taurian stubbornness kicks in and you're like, no, this is what I'm doing, and then we know you're completely immovable. Until that point, keep it to yourself, because it isn't time to take the action yet. But that Nine of Cups in the middle there, your next move has to be what makes you happy. It is not a point for taking into consideration everybody else's opinions on this. The cards are pretty clear here. If you've got one or two people that you know that you can rely on for an objective opinion about what you're doing, by all means share it with them and get their perspective. But do not just, have them say their piece and then you go, oh, you're right, it's just a terrible idea. Like, that's not what we're doing here. It's like, take their advice on board, hear what they have to say, their perspective, just to make sure that you're not, stuck in your own echo chamber. But then, from that point on, this needs to be the important bit for you, and the only way that you get to work out what is going to make you happy, taking responsibility for it, as well as enjoying the happiness that is generated from within, is by going within and seeing, getting a sit rep from your internal space, essentially. So I'm going to leave it there, Taurus. Know that I love you all very, very much. Thank you for your patience and waiting for me. It is very much appreciated. And I will see you soon.